a force unbroken, with banners high and hearts awoken. The sound of pipes, our war is calling. Like thunderous waves, our duty is falling. Stand tall, together we fight, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity our hearts shall sing, the legacy of warriors through every reign. With battle cries we forge our fate, in fields of valor we elevate. As shadows loom, our spirits gleam. Brothers in arms, we are the dream. Fearless, we take the night, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity, our hearts shall sing, the legacy of warriors through every reign. As dawn breaks, we know our name.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday Cryptid Paranormal Morning Coffee Talk. I'm Nighthawk, one half of your host. I don't know where the other half is. Hopefully he's logging on, but I haven't really checked social media this morning, so if anybody knows what he's up to, let me know. I'm going to get into the disclaimers, and then we're going to get into the thick of it, okay? I want to talk a little bit about everything today. However long it's going to be, it's going to be. So, that being said, we're going to start off with how basically to get prepared to do a cryptid creature hunt, okay? Investigations, and also into the paranormal investigations too, and stuff like that, and what to do when you deal with supernatural encounters, okay? And I think you all know pretty much my theory on that. So I'm going to do the disclaimers, then we're going to get into it, and then there's a couple other topics we're going to discuss today too, like the ice wall and what's beyond it, and so forth and so on. So that being said, as always, I claim fair use of any and all content under the Copyright Act of 1976, which makes allowances for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and entertainment value under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known as the fair use. Okay. Furthermore, I wish to acknowledge that not all the opinions and theories mentioned during the podcast are not necessarily the opinions or views of Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel and or AKA myself, William Nighthawk. We at Nighthawk High Strangeness YouTube channel and Facebook channels merely bring the open format to discuss the possibilities of topics happening in the past, present, and future. Please join the Nighthawk High Strangeness YouTube channel by subscribing, and please hit that like button if you can. That's one thing that they are very terrible at on YouTube, and I'll say it out loud. They are terrible at giving you credit for all the likes. So, and for everybody that watches these videos or these live streams, which is well over 150 people a week, and only getting 10 to 15 likes is not good numbers, folks. So please hit that like button. That affects the algorithm more than anything. You have no idea. And then share it too, if you could, please. Join the chat family, but be respectful in the chat and put all questions in capital letters if you can. That way I can see it. All right. So that being said, let me take that down. Let me see and check the chat here. All right, we got this heifer in first place. We got Roxanne. Good to see you, Roxanne. Urso, good to see you. And there's Eric. Oh boy. Okay. He's having car trouble, guys. Keep him in your prayers. Kyle, good to see you, huh? Good to see you. All right, let's see who else we got. Okay. Ray, good to see you. Girl with a gong, good to see you. All right. I'm sure I'm missing some people. David, good to see you. I'm sure Melissa's probably listening, hopefully. I'm probably going to step on some toes today. And I'm going to say this as non how do I want to say this as non-discriminatory as possible to people that go out and investigate. David and Melissa, if I have to, I'll probably put the link in the chat so maybe you guys can join us and talk a little bit about some of the equipment you all use when you go out. I saw the post that Daniel put up for the ECBRO and for the channel with some of the equipment that you all use. But I'd like to get you guys to come on and talk a little bit about it if it's possible. If not, don't worry about it. We got it covered. I'll put that link in the chat. And then one thing I wanted to cover, I'm trying to find this picture so I can get this off the screen. There it is. Okay. All right. One thing I wanted to cover. Now, isn't that a lovely picture of the forest, everybody? Isn't that just lovely? I put that up there because you know what? Look at how thick it is. Whenever you do an investigation and you're out there, and especially at night when the moon's not out, which is how I prefer to do the investigations, because the less moonlight means the more that unknowns are going to travel. Predators are going to travel with less moonlight. So, because they won't be having a chance to be spotted in advance. That's an old, it's not that old, but it's an old trick. Just like staying downwind of something so they don't get your scent when you're hunting. But some of the equipment that we use is ridiculously insane. Okay. And I know that there are several people that watch this channel and that will probably watch this later and go, what in the hell are you talking about? Well, I mean, you all have seen the TV shows, okay? I mean, let's just face it, okay? When you got a camera crew out there with multiple lighting and multiple technical equipment, huge cameras, just insane amount of technical equipment, not to mention personal protection equipment that they're carrying, it makes for hardly any experiences. Hate to say it, I was hesitant on saying that, but if something's trying to avoid you in the middle of the freaking forest, the mountains, or wherever the heck you're at, what do you think is going to happen if you go in there with all kinds of equipment, all kinds of noise, all kinds of lights, camera action, guns and ammo blaring? What do you think the cryptids that are trying to avoid you are going to do? Well, they're not going to run up and get their 15 seconds of fame or 5 minutes of fame or whatever the heck they want. Everybody thinks they're going to do. No, they're not. So going in with excessive gear is a big no. I don't care if you've got a $39,000 FLIR camera, and it's bigger than a laptop. I don't care if you've got camera equipment that is used in television stations. Um, it's overkill. The first thing they teach you on any battlefield is how to camouflage yourself, how to make yourself less of an object, how to make yourself less of a target, how to make yourself less of a visual acquired target. What do you think's happening when groups of 7 or 8, 10, 12, 15 go out and bang on trees and hoot and holler, and have bold campfires and stuff? What do you think's happening? Are you drawing something in, or are you pushing them away? That's one of the questions we need to ask ourselves today. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to get back to the comments here real quick. Bear, good to see you. Bounty, good to see you. Let's see. Who else? Observe from a distance. Yes. Very good. Thank you, Roxanne. Yes. Please like, share, subscribe, and smash the thumbs up. That thumbs up is hurting us big time on this channel. But I'm not gonna make this a complaint day. As far as having a channel and everything. Equipment. First and foremost, when you go out there, you've got to think of personal safety. That should be your priority. Okay. Literally, your personal safety should be your priority. Okay. Because irregardless of if there's a cryptid out there that you're going to encounter, or a paranormal entity that you're going to encounter, or something supernatural on any investigation, your personal safety comes first. Okay. Which includes your entire group. Okay. So, that being said, let's talk weaponing up. I've always been a firm believer that you never take an elephant gun to a raccoon hunt. Okay. My people survived for thousands of years right next to these cryptids and the mysteries of the world without any type of firearm for the longest time, until the white man came here and traded firearms, the French trappers and stuff. We made it very well known, and that's why when you deal with Native Americans and the warrior mentality of a Native American, you're dealing with the protection of all, not just the protection of one. So the mentality of the Native people at the time, and should be still today, is the good of all. Okay. The safety of all, the protection of all. Okay. So that being said, Corey, good to see you. That being said, you have your physical protection. I always carry a knife on me. I always do. And those of you that know me know that I do. Okay. Those of you that have seen me in public know that I do. I carry it. It's called the Pejita Sapa, the black medicine knife. Okay. It's my eagle head knife. Okay. And it's even engraved on it. I don't know if you all can see that. Probably not, but it's engraved, on there. with the symbols and stuff. You probably won't be able to see it on that camera. With the symbols and stuff on there that give it spiritual protection. Okay, this knife has been through a lot with me. So it is a blessed blade. And that's one thing we're going to get into today too, is we're going to talk about blessing objects and all that to take with you. Okay. This knife has been through plenty of ceremony, numerous ceremony. As with my spiritual medicine bags and my medicine bundle. Okay. Those are my main protections. I mean, I wear a cross. Don't get me wrong. You know, the whole Jesus is Lord thing. Yes, I agree. That's a protection too. There's some paranormal investigations and supernatural things that I've gone on where I've had to use holy water. Obviously, being Native American, we use sage, cedar, and sweetgrass, and juniper. Juniper is a good one, and a lot of people don't really realize juniper is actually probably a better to get rid of flushing negativity out of a home or a place, better than sage. To tell you the truth, juniper is really a good all around herb to use to cleanse. Okay. Yeah, I love juniper too. Bounty, yes, very much so. Sweetgrass is my first and foremost, because that's what my father was using, and all my uncles, and it's a predominant one for my family to use. This is the thing. There's a difference in sages too. Okay. I was watching I know who it was. I'm not going to say their name. Okay. But you all know them. They're pretty famous, on social media. They've got their own YouTube channel and everything. But their old show used to be MM, and they were talking about smudging, and it wasn't you know it wasn't the SOA. Okay, it wasn't them. It was the other ones, um, which ironically starts with MM. It's the younger ones, and they were discussing um, removing negativity and protecting yourself from witches and paranormal and supernatural and all this. And I realize some people don't understand the complete concept of smudging, but that's when you need to discuss it with a Wachashiwakan, with a holy man, with a medicine person, not a shaman. Okay. Shamans are great in South America. They're phenomenal. Okay. And I know I'm going to step on some toes with that. Okay. I know I am. All right. But it's the truth, folks. Okay. There is a difference. Shaman come from South America. Medicine people come from America and Canada. Okay. We're not shaman. That the word shaman had nothing to even do with our culture until like the 80s, when people started getting into this new age stuff. Okay. So I just want to put that out there. Okay. Now I know I probably ticked some people off on that. Yeah, smudge sticks are good. White sage, it's readily available, but I try not to use white sage, to be honest with you. I don't. If I have to, I have to. We don't call it skunk sage for anything, for except for what it represents. Okay. Sorry, folks. I got a call coming in. I'm just a bill collector. No big deal. Just turn the phone off. Just turn the phone off when they call. That's all I do. Okay. Anyways. All right, where was I? Exactly, Urso. Exactly. And I'm glad you said that, Urso. I'm glad you said that. Witch doctors come from the island sects. You're right. You're absolutely right. Or the mother island, Africa. So yes, that is completely 150% correct on that. It is there is definitely a difference when compared to things as far as what type of sage to use and all that. That's why I my first go-to is sweetgrass. And then I'll go into the sage and the junipers and the cedar and all that. And or I'll do a combination. I'm hey Ray, good to see you. I may use juniper and sweetgrass. I may use juniper and cedar. Juniper and cedar is what I used for Sundance. Juniper and cedar is also what I used for cleansing the areas when I do my Humblatia, my vision quest. It's just there's certain combinations you can use. Okay, plain and simple. As far as protection devices go, it's whatever your faith is to protect you spiritually. Okay, if you are Monica, good to see you. If you are okay, I'll put the link in, David. If you are, I'm putting the link in the chat, David, just so you know. Okay, David, there it goes. If you are, whatever faith you are, if you put faith in the holy water and the crucifix and all that, that's perfectly fine. Whatever faith you are, you need to stand strong in your faith. Okay. Now, with me, we all know being Native American, a lot of Native people are Christian oriented. Okay. Because of the Native American church. And we do a lot of other things above and beyond Christianity to protect ourselves spiritually. Okay, because it's our culture. Okay, that's just what it is. It's our culture. So that being said, let me see here. I'm going to put a picture up here, guys. Equipment. Okay. Now, when we deal with equipment, I've always said personal safety comes first. Okay. Always have flashlights, headlamps, that kind of stuff. The headlamps that I like to use, I mean, you could have the headlamps that are like freaking, it's like having a goddamn lighthouse, with you. You can have them with the multiple LEDs like this, okay, which is a typical headlamp. The one that I preferred the most was a simple 2-toggle switch, okay, and it's put out by Husky, okay, and this is the one that I use the most in the field, okay. As you can see, it has 2 lights, okay, but okay, come on. And of course, now it won't work. Wonder if I took the batteries out of it. Anyways, this one literally has the red light on it. Okay. Now, this is something I'm a firm believer in, everybody. When it comes to headlamps, okay, leave your hands free when at all possible. You never know. You never know what you're going to encounter, especially in the dark out in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Leave your hands free. Okay. Have your whatever you're carrying, whether it's a knife or whether it's a pew pew, have it that you're ready. But do not, here it's not going to show you very well, but you can see it's got the red light on it. Okay. In the dark, that red light is very bright. Okay. I prefer using a red light. And if anybody out there ever wonders about the night vision from Vietnam, I'm a firm believer that if we could combine the red light with the UV light, that you'll have the ability to see a lot more out there than what the human eye is capable of. Just my thought and my opinion on that. Okay. I'll be bringing David on here shortly. Be getting with you here, David, in just a second. I just, I'm a big firm believer that when you're dealing with stuff, you need to have the proper equipment. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have Melissa and David on today too, because they are constantly out there in the field, and he can refer a lot of the camera stuff and what they use. Okay. So I'm going to bring David and Melissa on.
But right now we have
Guys.
I'm trying to resolve.
You're on, guys.
Yeah, we're getting a double feedback again here. I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah, that always happens. I don't know why. Always happens. I've got all my other devices turned off too, so.
Yeah, so do we.
Something's going on. Somebody likes to listen. I think that's what it is. I think I'm just going to chalk it up to that. I'm going to put something up on the screen for you guys to see. This is what I was talking about. This is a FLIR infrared camera. Okay. SD cards and everything, 30 hertz frame rate, 640 by 480, T500 model. Comes with everything, wireless. Take a stab in the dark how much that thing costs. Okay. Just a stab in the dark. And that's just a basic model. That thing is literally $32,000. $32,000. If you've got that kind of money to put into equipment and to go out into the field and investigate things, then
backstage
and don't find something, okay, don't and come up completely empty on whatever investigations you're doing, whether it's paranormal, supernatural, or cryptid. Do you think for one instance they're going to sit on that value that they've soaked into the equipment, or do you think that they're going to make it a little bit more dramatic? Okay. Do you think that they're going to maybe exaggerate their actions with things? Because if I sunk 32 grand into one piece of equipment, I'd be pretty ticked off if I couldn't capture anything with it. That's just my opinion. I'm just putting it out there. So
usually I'm over here.
Have you got a different link to send? Because StreamYard is tapping into the YouTube channel I have open.
Oh God. That's the only link they gave me. Let me see here. Let me go in here again.
I'm gonna try something right quick. Ooh, it may log us
All
out.
right.
I'll come back.
I'll post it again. All right. I'm just going to post this again in the chat so David and Melissa can log in again.
So you need to somehow get out of that. He's reposting
Hold on a minute.
the login.
Okay.
The link.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we're clear now. I'm not getting a double feedback. I had to close out YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, we ought to be good
All
now.
right. All right. Good. Okay. Anyways, I was talking about the equipment and stuff, and Woo was way off. Woo thought it was 1100 for that infrared that I put up, that IR camera. That
How much?
that was actually that was the actual top of the line one, where it went for 32 grand. So yeah, definitely the price of a new vehicle. So let's see here. So the headgear is a primary thing. Another thing, like I said, they make all kinds of flashlights. David and Melissa actually got me a good flashlight to use. It's on charge though for tonight. But top of the line, and they got it off of Amazon, and it's really a really good flashlight. The only bad thing about that type of light is you have to constantly make sure it's charged, because if you leave it sit fully charged, the battery will drain a little bit over time. So if you let it sit all day without putting it on charge real quick, you'll have about half the power that you'd have, for the
Yeah.
investigation.
Yeah, but it's a bright light though. I like it. That's why I
Oh
carry a couple of. Yeah, when we're out in the woods, we carry more than one light anyway, for obvious
yeah.
reasons. In case one would burn out or whatever, or go bad, you still got a backup.
I found these on Amazon, and I'm going to show everybody this. Okay, this is not a big flashlight whatsoever, as you can see in my hand. Okay, all right, fully chargeable. Even has a clip. It can clip it onto a baseball cap brim, the hat brim, and use it like a headlamp. Okay, $7 for a 2-pack on Amazon. Okay. And it is bright. Okay. It has several different settings. Has high, low, and then it has the flash. Okay. So several different settings. I like this because it's small, and like I said, you can clip it on your hat, you can clip it on your jacket, on your shoulder. You can have it for a backup in case batteries die, and batteries always do die, especially in paranormal investigations, because of energy drainage.
I think we're frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
Our
you.
screen is frozen.
Oh boy.
Well, we can hear, so but you won't be able to show anything.
Yeah, but I won't be able to see y'all's shiny faces.
All right. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to log back in. Hold on one second.
All right. All right. Anyways, while they're working the bugs out, which always happens with technical equipment, by the way, so be prepared for that. Carry gloves, disposable, just cheap plastic gloves. in case you have to pick up something when you're on an investigation, because you don't want to contaminate it. Okay. Make sure you have something to transport samples in that don't get degraded, okay, over time. Let me see here. And definitely make sure you have some type of camera. Okay. Now, I'm not saying get the expensive, $800, camcorder that, you can use anything. What I have is a Minolta Palm Carry 4K. Okay. Has night vision on it. Okay. And it has the attachments for it. Okay. I'll show you the attachments if I can reach them. I can make this camera into pretty much everything. Of course, it has an extended handle. Okay. A handle for it. The camera sits here. It'll sit in here like this. Okay. Makes it easy to carry. Furthermore, has a boom mic. Okay. Mics are good to have, especially when you're dealing with a lot of ambient sounds. It has a white light. Yes, this is a light. Not charged, but it is a light that mounts on the camera. So you have all that, which is a good thing. Okay. Now, again, this is just the basics. You don't need a full camera crew. I mean, you can. I mean, if you're trying to do as professional as possible, but if you're out there and you're just doing an investigation because it's a hobby and or you just you're just starting out, you don't need to invest a lot of money. Okay. Sound recording devices are good to have. Trail cameras get used a lot. I recommend a good trail camera. Something that is not IR. I'm a firm believer that IR can be seen. I'm also a firm believer that if you're doing any type of paranormal or cryptid investigation, you want to combine your UV light with your red light. And the reason I say that is because of the whole Vietnam era night vision goggle thing. Everything is energy. And a lot of energy we cannot see with our human eye. So if we enhance our visual spectrum with UV light and red light, then we have the capability of possibly being able to see more. So that's why I'm a firm believer in that. I got you guys on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Melissa over here in the frame right quick. I know y'all want to see her more than me anyway. Speaking about lights, real quick, since you're on that topic. Besides the one we sent you, that's my primary light when we go out. When we go out after dark, I try not to use my lights if at all possible, depending on the lighting. I don't want to give my position away or whatnot when we're moving through the woods or down trails or whatnot until we have to. My secondary light is this one here. And I will strap that around my hat that I'm wearing, and it's pretty bright. It's got different settings on it, and it doesn't cost that much money either. But
Right.
I try not to use this one. You mentioned carrying weapons earlier. We do carry out there where we're at. It's all primitive and stuff like that, but we're not running around with shotguns and rifles. What I carry concealed anyway.
Right.
And that's for obvious reasons. You never know when you may run upon that errant bear. Hopefully that would never happen. But also you got your two-legged predators out there, because there are thefts out there every now and then. People scoping around campsites and people out there camping to steal and other things. But I try not to use that because I want my hands free. So if I have to turn this on, whether I have to go into a defensive nature against any kind of animal or whatnot, I want this on my head around my hat so my hands are free. Depending on whether I use my heavy duty walking stick or whatever for a defensive type nature. I try to save it for that, because I don't want my hands bound up and carrying a flashlight when you're trying to go into a defensive nature. The cameras we use, we got something similar. It's not a Minolta. It's a cheap Amazon IR type camera. It's only a couple $100. It's good at stationary. It's not real good at walking around because the hertz in it doesn't keep up with fast movement.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't carry that out in the woods after dark. If I'll set this up after dark on a tripod in stationary mode. I got a little IR extender for that. It attaches on top of the camera to give a little bit more distance in IR. And then with the other attachment I have, I've got this IR, which I'll also put on it, which goes out to a couple of 100 meters.
Yep.
And I will attach these to a battery pack. I don't use batteries in these things only last about an hour. Okay. So I don't use those batteries. I got some cheap Amazon batteries that I attach it to. And that's more than enough to run this until the SD card fills up, depending on the size of SD card we got. And again, that's for stationary. When we're back at camp, I might set it up late at night, let it run, or along a stream bed and let it run until the SD card fills up. And on that battery pack, I'm not running back there every hour changing out batteries. I can let it run for like 3 hours max, I think, off of that until the card fills up. That way I don't have to disturb that area for whatever hour time frame we're back there with that I have it set up from. Other IRs, I use a couple of them. This one here, I can't pronounce it. Vivasi or something like that's on Amazon. It's just straight IR.
Oh, yeah.
And I do the same thing on a tripod. We may walk around sometimes with it, but I don't carry that out when we're out doing stakeouts or researching. I'll pretty much set that up on a tripod and let it run on a battery pack until the SD card fills up. The other IR I got, that one doesn't do audio, just video. The Akaso IR, I mean, you can use some daylight too. You don't have to turn on the IR, either one of them. But this one does audio too. Audio is pretty good, but it's not great. But if you got it stationary out in the woods, you're still going to pick stuff up with that. So I got those two. So we got 2 IRs, and I've got 1 thermal that we use. And this here is the Top Don. Top Don is a good brand. It's not real expensive. They for years they make thermal type equipment for those that are into electronics.
Right.
And when they're looking at circuit boards and picking up heat, maybe they're going in and sealing windows and stuff, they could pick up where cold air and heat may be coming in or escaping from. So they gave her a hand at coming up with an IR. I think that's the only one they make. And I was pretty impressed with it. It had real good imaging and stuff. Plus, it doesn't break the bank to buy one. So we got 2 IR.
The IR I have an IR too. Yeah, I have an IR too, and thermal scope looking lens. I can't remember the brand name. I've got it in my bug out bag right now. Um, but I paid very little for it. About that was before I got cancer back in 2019 is when I got it, and I think
Yeah,
I
they're
paid.
good to have.
Yeah, I think I paid like $80-90 for it. I mean, it wasn't that much at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little cheaper, but you know what? It still works.
It works, and that's what you need. I mean, this is only like 250 on average, but I like it. It's compact. I could carry it in my hip bag, my leg bag and stuff. It doesn't get in my way. I don't have to wear it around my neck, and I pull it out when I need it.
Exactly.
Those others are too big and bulky to carry around when you're running around in the woods. I just don't want a lot of stuff hanging on me.
And that's my point. That's my point. I think a lot of people that haven't done this before that are getting into it, and getting out into the woods and stuff and trying to investigate certain cryptid sightings and all that. I think they're thinking that they need all of this.
No.
And all they really need is communication with each other, personal safety first and foremost, and something to be seen at night. Recording devices and whatnot that don't have to cost an arm and a leg.
You don't want to be clanking around out there walking in the woods.
Yeah,
you don't want to be clanking around.
Exactly.
Plus, it becomes cumbersome.
Yeah, and that's my point. You know, when you're, I mean, 150-pound rucksack in the military was perfectly fine when we were younger, but you don't need to carry that kind of equipment around all the time when you're out in the field.
Yeah, but when they go, but the military, when you're carrying that kind of equipment around, you're going out to a site where you'll be setting up at. But when they go out on recon missions, they scale that way down.
Oh yeah. You're lucky to have your skivvies on you, to tell you the truth.
Pretty much. But the biggest thing you got when you're out there in the woods, whether it's daytime or nighttime, is your own eyes and ears and brain. Whether you got any equipment or not, just your observation skills and stuff, and getting used to being out there in an environment you may not be used to being out there in. With that said, real quick, two things I carry when I'm out there, because it is primitive locations, and if you get caught out after dark, you get disoriented really quick, especially in areas that you are not familiar with. So I carry a standard compass, lens-added compass, as a backup to my GPS. I do carry a GPS. That way, every now and then, I can hit it to plot where we're at. That way, if you do get disoriented after dark and whatnot to come back, it'll take you right back to your starting point, where you programmed it from. For me, these are, if you're going into primitive areas, I can't stress enough about having either a compass or a GPS as a backup, so you can get back to camp. Otherwise, you may be sleeping out there the rest of the night until the sun comes up, to where you get oriented to hopefully make yourself back, unless you're too lost and you're going to be up the creek anyway. But I highly recommend carrying a compass and knowing which general direction you're going, and the GPS. I carry the compass in case this is like, it's electronic. If it goes bad, I still got my compass. I always know which general direction I'm going in.
Kyle said he's trying to decide on which thermal to get.
A personal choice.
I mean, it's that's all that it really is. It depends on whether you want to have sound recording with it, or quality of the thermal picture that you're going to see. And the range. I mean, it's all things you want to, plus the cost and all that too.
Yeah,
and
the budget's a big thing.
Yeah, whenever you buy something that expensive or that kind of an investment, you always have to look at the products, not only quality, but their manufacturing warranties. A lot of people don't talk about these warranties enough. If you drop it, does it have a clause in the warranty that will prohibit you from having it replaced or repaired for free if you drop it?
Exactly.
Or, if you accidentally submerge it in water and it's not, IP65 rated or whatever they call it, with the weatherization. These are all things you need to consider.
Yeah, another thing to consider is also where you're going to be using it at. Yeah, you can go out and get a thermal that costs you $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 that goes out to half a mile to a mile out and stuff like that. But if you're going to be in the woods like we are, I don't need anything with that kind of a distance. So therefore, I
Exactly.
get the budget stuff. And if it does get broken, it doesn't break the bank. I
Yep,
hate to break
exactly.
a $3,000 piece of equipment, whereas something $200, $250, if the warranties runs out after 2 or 3 years or goes bad, I'll just buy another one. You got to look at
Right.
the environment you're planning on using it in to make that determination also. Unless
Exactly.
you got money to blow, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which we don't, you know.
Yep.
Of course, I try to get her to
If
understand
you're,
we don't
and
have money to blow.
another thing too, and this is just my personal advice. You don't have to go to Walmart or to some big name store like Dick's Sporting Goods to buy equipment. You can go and look for equipment in thrift stores and stuff like that that have them. You can you can get a lot of good things. There are things out there that people don't consider. And I'm a big one. Whenever I was out there in the summer and the spring, the biggest problem I worried about was ticks. Okay. And that kind of a like Lyme disease and stuff.
Luna.
But they
Our
have
son just drove up.
okay. These are what they call spray socks. Okay. Now they look like the garters that we wear, during COVID and all that, but they have the hood on them. And these are things that painters use to paint indoors. Okay. It comes with gloves. Okay, disposable gloves. And it's literally all it is something that you wear over your head. Okay, here's where your face would be. You pull it down over your neck, and it literally covers your face and all the way down to your chest. Okay, so it keeps it literally, and these things are literally like $1 something a piece. I mean, they're very, very inexpensive. Okay, so when you're out there in the woods or anywhere really, or even if you're around an area that deals with a lot of like mold and stuff and mildew, when you're in a paranormal investigation in an old building or something, an old warehouse, an old sanatorium, okay, get yourself a couple of these. Okay, they're cheap enough. Okay, these are made by Proline. Okay, and it literally, like the picture shows, that's what it does. Okay, and it's thin, so it breathes. It's 100% cotton, and it's washable. You can reuse it if you need to. Okay, so it's not it's a reusable expense that's under $2, if you know what I mean. And that's very hard to find out there. Okay, so if you're out there and you're in the woods and you're worried about ticks and stuff, something like that or whatnot, or anything along that lines, it doesn't have to be ticks, spiders, whatever you're afraid of. Okay, get yourself a couple of these, cheap enough. Okay, and it'll literally cover your entire. The only area of your face that's going to be open is around your eyes. So you're completely protected by ticks that way. That way you don't have to aerosol up, which is a deterrent to any type of wildlife interacting with a human, is scent. Okay, you don't want to go out there stinking like perfume or cologne or off or any type of bug spray. Okay, you want to go there as natural as possible. Okay.
Yep.
So that's just my piece of advice. Getting these little cheap things, they work. They literally do work.
Now, when you were talking about the paranormal thing out there, here recently, what we started bringing with us and using our last camp out, after the last two camp outs, but especially our last camp out, we've been at 3 times over the last 2 years. We've been at this one campsite, never had any problems, no problems at all. Our last camp out, we started having issues with the batteries going dead in our walkie-talkies.
Within just minutes of us turning them on,
they would come back on.
Yeah.
They go. The battery would show dead, then they'd come back on after a few minutes. And when I was out, me, Daniel, and Drew, we went out to do a stakeout one evening, and they were back at base camp with the radios, and they were having their problems there. And while we were out going to one other campsite that wasn't used, about maybe 3/4 of a mile from camp, with my DJI Action 4 for the first time after several years, it picked up some kind of interference for about maybe 20 seconds. This is the same night we were having issues back at camp. 2 nights later, when Melissa was going to go out with them, I was to stay back at camp with John and Mary. I let her use my Action 4, and when she was wearing it 2 times, this came on by itself. We can't explain that, just turned on. I carry an MP3 player out there that I'll turn on every now and then in the daytime, listen to a little bit of music when I'm out there by myself, just to kill some time. When I was getting some of my equipment together, the MP3 player, I seen the light come on. It's about maybe 3 feet from me. So it came on by itself. And that button you have to hold down about maybe 1 second before it to activate to turn on. That's never happened before either. So what we started doing is these EMF detector. We carry that. And I got another one similar to it, but this one gives you more of a breakdown frequencies as well as the temperature, the ambient temperature in the area. So we're starting to use these now based on the paranormal. And also, side note, the feather and the setup. The setup you had us do out there in the woods. Daniel was out there a couple of weekends back. He actually was still in where they put it in the tree. He repositioned it closer to where we seen that light and had those encounters camp out before the last one. So he actually repositioned those, to get them in a different location. So we know, hopefully that will go as far as helping the area out with what may be going on back there. We just had strange things happen for the first time ever out there that we can't explain. So now we're incorporating more stuff into the campouts to try to come up with answers. Hopefully we do. I don't know if we ever will, but you got to do what you got to do to get when you get out there. Exactly. Yeah, we do have quite a bit of stuff that we take out there with us, and we're having reasons now to incorporate it. Besides our regular recorders, obviously. I mean, you can get cheap ones off of Amazon, and these do great. And then, of course, I got my Zoom and stuff that I can put on tripod with that. We got HN1. We don't have the big expensive ones because they do more things we'll never use. We don't do guitars and all the other stuff to plug into them. So we do have a lot of different equipment. And one thing I wanted to say about equipment, if you're going to go out and spend money on stuff, especially when it comes to your safety, my recommendation is stay off of Amazon. Go to a manufacturer that produces that stuff and get stuff that's going to be made and it's going to be trustworthy. Yeah. Especially when it comes to your own safety.
A good thing, another good thing too, guys, that a lot of people don't consider. Okay, this is just from years of experience being out in the field. Is a good walking stick. A good way to keep yourself braced up when you're walking in terrain that is not level, that is full of ruts and holes and mud bog areas and stuff like that, and tree trunks you're stepping over. Exactly. Get yourself a good solid walking stick to use. And it also is a good snake deterrent, because what you do when you're walking with the walking stick is you're placing that stick out in front of you 3 feet or so and pushing yourself along with it. Okay. And what's that's doing is it's setting out 3 feet in front of you in case there is a rattlesnake or a copperhead or something, any type of snake, cottonmouth. If there's one there, it's going to strike at the stick. Okay. It's going to react to the stick instead of your ankle. Okay.
Right.
Or your calf.
Hopefully, yeah. But that's
Yeah.
a good point. Yeah. And plus, if you need to, you got something heavy duty that's going to be, you can just move it out of your way. But yeah,
Exactly.
I can't stress that enough. Don't get me wrong. These hiking sticks you can buy at Walmart and places like that that's flimsy and thin. I understand people want to go hiking and less weight to carry they can get around. But if you're going to be out in the woods, get that heavy duty stick. I made a video on a stream bed in the area that we're at, and I could push my walking stick down or a stick down about 2.5 foot deep within the mud. Now, a heavier person, they're going to go deeper. If a child would fall into that, Lord knows what would happen. They wouldn't have any support to get out. And this is a normal stream bed. I mean, people have to understand where it's going to be safe to cross that and what to look for. But the sticks that we carry, I even whacked it real good up against, hard against the tree to show it wouldn't break. Because again, not only that's another defensive tool you got in your kit. It will break bone. It will break skull. And it's probably the stick probably weighs about a pound. So it's good and heavy. It's solid wood. I don't know what the wood is, obviously. But you take things into consideration of what you're going to be out and about, what you're going to need, and think safety, because nothing about that boggy area, if you would not pay attention and fall into it, you got something to get support to pull yourself up, to stand up.
Yeah. And the first thing you want to do whenever you get in that situation, say if you actually get into a situation where there's a boggy area where you're down and you're slowly going down to your knees and then your waist and all that, like quicksand. The reason those sticks are good too is you can lay it across horizontally on top of the bog, and it'll support you enough if you don't struggle to where somebody can help you with a branch or grapevine or something, or even a rope that's in your group. Yeah. Or another stick to get you out. And these are just things that a lot of people don't consider when they're out there.
No, they don't.
You have to really, not everything is going to be expensive equipment, guys.
No.
Okay. Literally. The best piece of equipment you got right now is yourself. And the more safe you are out there, the better it's going to be for an investigation for you. And to tell you the truth, you don't need to go in a guns a-blazing. Okay. When you go in a guns a-blazing and, with 18 to 20 people in a group with camera gear and all that, and soundboard mixers and all this in the woods, you're not going to attract anything but, the local riffraff that's going to want to take that equipment because it's worth some money. I mean, plain and simple. That's literally what it is. If you want to capture something and encounter something, go in a small group. Go in groups of 3 or 4. Go in a group. Don't go any less than 2. Okay. And this is a big mistake that a lot of people do too, David. And I'm sure you know what I'm going to say probably. They split up. Okay. You never split up. Okay. You want to have at least 2 or 3 together at all times. Okay. Never go off by yourself. Because first off, when you go off by yourself, something can happen. Okay. You could be, harassed by wildlife and not know it and become unalive by it. Okay. Whether it's mountain lion, whether it's wolves, coyotes, whatnot,
break a leg, break an ankle. Yeah.
Yeah. You can fall and break something. You could get lost. Okay. Let's face it. A lot of people get out there and they think that they know the woods, but they don't know the first signs about how to find north and how to find the directions to east and west. That they just don't. Okay.
No, when that sun sets and you turn around and start heading back, things change real quick.
Exactly.
And we're not bringing that stuff up to make people paranoid not to go out there. It's just things you need to think about. Go out and enjoy nature, wildlife, the woods, get out and hike, do all these things. Just think about where you're going, what you're going to need, and think safety in that process.
Exactly.
And it'll make your experience that much more enjoyable when while you're out there.
And the equipment will come. You'll eventually have the equipment that you want to have, that you think you need, whether you want it or not. Because doors will open up. You'll meet other people, other investigators, and they'll recommend equipment, or they'll say, "Oh, why don't you come out with us and you can use our equipment?" I mean, you're going to have those encounters with other investigators out there that are going to be willing to share, just as much as you will have the ones that don't want to share. Okay. But I've always had more encounters when I had no electronic devices on me whatsoever. Okay. Not even a cell phone. And I've had more encounters with a knife on my side and a flashlight in my hand, than anything. So, before all the technology happened and stuff, with all the cameras and stuff, we would take out the 110 cameras. We would take out, I mean, you guys remember those, the Polaroid cameras, the Insta cameras. We would take out recorders that were cassette recorders and stuff, to do investigations and stuff. A big thing, like when we did paranormal investigations, one thing that I'm a very firm believer of is you don't have to get so technical. Okay.
No.
If you want to start out with stuff, get cat balls, get an EVP recorder, get a an EMF device. You can get those pretty cheap. But you don't need all the fancy stuff. You don't need, one of the first things I used doing a ghost investigation was, one of the best things that I used during a ghost investigation, ghost hunt, was literally baby powder. I would put baby powder all over a top of a dresser with an object to be moved. I'd leave the room. I'd get my recorder going and take pictures, from the hallway or whatnot. And I'll ask for, whatever entity was there to move the object on top of the dresser or the table or whatnot. And you'd go over and you'd see the baby powder was disturbed. Okay. Literally. Okay. You could see literally where the object slid or was pushed by some force that was unseen. Okay. So, not everything has to be expensive, guys.
And plus, whatever you do get, make sure you understand how it works.
Yeah.
Like the cat balls, for example, they have to be physically touched to activate.
Mm-hmm.
Radio frequencies or anything like that will not activate it. And I say this because we borrowed Jeremy's REM pod last camp out while we were out there. And that is activated by proximity, not touch. Or you can touch it, but anything that gets close to it,
right,
within a certain distance, you got your sensitivity levels. What I did not realize was that back up a minute. A couple years back, a real small insect landed on top of his REM pod when we were in Kentucky at a graveyard. Mm-hmm. And the sensitivity was set to high to where that little bitty bug, probably about the quarter size of a fly, was causing it to activate. You have to understand that. That's why if we go out and set up a REM pod anymore, I'm going to put a camera on it too. That way to make sure no insect is interfering with it. Second thing is, if you're close by with a radio or walkie-talkie, that will cause the lights to activate.
Yeah,
People
it'll set it off.
That. That's why these TV shows, you don't know who's running around there with equipment that the radio frequency is going to cause it to activate. So there's two things I'm looking at that if I see the lights just activate, I'm pretty much not going to pay attention to it unless I hear the
Exactly.
tone. But that's
Exactly.
not to say that if you're researching and you ask questions and then you get responses to questions, not 5 minutes later, but instantaneous, you might want to listen to that. But just pay attention to the surroundings and what you're using, because it may not be limited just to that piece of equipment. Because like I said,
Right.
the cat balls, they've got to be physically touched to be able to activate it. Something has to
Exactly.
physically move it. The REM pods, it's all electronic and stuff like that. Radio frequencies will cause the lights to go off, not the tone, but the lights.
I
Now
mean,
you get the
there's
lights and the tone,
the,
you know, you
the,
might want to pay
the,
attention to it.
yeah, the range of equipment that can be used on any paranormal investigation, any cryptid investigation, can range anywhere from electronic devices that cost 32 grand to cat balls. I mean, to the headgear that I showed earlier, which is a couple bucks, to dowsing rods, to pendulums. I mean, there's certain things that can be used for certain types of investigations. And a lot of people just think that automatically, if they're going to get into investigating this type of stuff and this kind of activity, that they got to spend outrageous amounts of money, and they don't.
No, they don't.
They really don't.
But know the equipment. Get to know it. What's it capable of? What's the goods and the pros, the cons and the pros, and work around the cons. That way you can capitalize off the pros.
Here's a question for you, David.
Do Bigfoot hunters looking for physical animals need different equipment than someone looking for paranormal activity? At this, I don't have a concrete answer for that. The way things have been going the last couple of campouts, that's why we're incorporating more. We started out just going out looking for the cryptid, the Bigfoot. And then when other things started happening, we started to incorporate other things based on the paranormal. There are those that think that Bigfoot may be part of the paranormal. We don't know, but based on things that we've been experiencing out there, we're just incorporating equipment as we go. I'm not going to go on Amazon and buy all this equipment when I don't know what I'm going to be targeting. You got to
Exactly.
be realistic about what you purchase. I don't want to have a box full of $1,000 worth of stuff I never use because I didn't research and give forethought before I purchase the stuff. And then I look at what other people's got to use too before I make up my mind. I do my own research.
Right. And you got to understand one thing too, though, guys, when you're dealing with this, when you're going out, even for your first time, you're the best piece of equipment that there is.
Yep.
Your senses, your abilities to sense things, and to feel things. That's the best piece of equipment you can have to begin with. That's why I say the first thing and foremost that you should do is make sure that you are protected by any ways, means possible. Take a first aid kit with you. Take a good walking stick with you. Take a good flashlight with you. Make sure you have some kind of personal protection device on you. You want to make sure, first off, that you, being the original piece of equipment used in any investigation, are going to be safe, and those with you are going to be safe. Okay. Everything else will fall in line. Okay. When you start weaponing up and stuff out there, you're going to end up chasing a lot of it away from you.
Yep.
A lot of people think Bigfoot's just some dumb ape. Okay. My people didn't call them the Forest people for nothing, the Forest tribe. Okay. We literally traded with them. If they're smart enough to trade with indigenous people, and they're smart enough to know how to take care and protect their family, do you think they're going to be smart enough to go towards anybody with a weapon when they know what a weapon sounds like because they've probably been shot at? Okay. Or they know what a dangerous feeling that they get when they see a large group of individuals with, movie cameras out in the middle of nowhere and sound equipment. I mean, it's ridiculous to me to think that serious investigators that don't care about not being on TV. Okay, and I'm not saying that to get anybody's goat, because you're all allowed. I mean, you're all adults. You do what you want to do. I'm not going to say anything to stop you. But just my opinion, with my personal dealings with the cryptids and the paranormal growing up, that basically the more humble you are and reserved you are, the better you're going to have an encounter. The more you open yourself up to the possibilities and go in a good way, you're going to have an encounter. Okay. If you go in there, like I said, cameras ablazing and guns ablazing, you're going to have nothing but problems. Okay. And it's more than likely going to be the moonshiner down in the holler, 2 hollers down from you, that's worried about you stumbling upon their still. Or it's more going to be along the lines of the growers. Okay. And we all know what I mean by growers that are out there, growing the stuff, or the labs out in the middle of nowhere, with the green tarps over them, to where, people are manufacturing methamphetamines and stuff. You're going to have more of an encounter with that when you go in with guns ablazing and expensive equipment and camera stuff, because they're going to perceive you as a threat. And the outcome's probably not going to be good. You don't have to worry about a cryptid creature taking you out. It'll be humanity taking you out. Okay? So that's
another,
why. Yeah, go
another
ahead.
thing. Yeah, another thing too is for those that's new at it, don't have a lot of experience. If you're going out to an area you're not familiar with, research that area first. See what is there, what you're dealing with, wildlife, terrain. Make a game plan.
Yeah.
Take notes. Don't deviate from your game plan. If you're not comfortable doing so, let people know where you're going, obviously, and what time you're planning on being back. But research the area. The reason I'm saying this is where we go camp, there's several areas out there to where there's old homestead foundations where people from ain't no telling how far back used to live back there. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to think that maybe some of that may be linked maybe to some of the paranormal activity that we may be having. Because another couple, Floyd and his wife, was out there a month back, same area, 2 campsites up from where we were at, about maybe 200 yards. And she says she woke up one morning about 5 o'clock. It's still dark outside. They were tent camping, and she says she seen what looked like an image of a young child. And when she seen the image, she heard a voice, a woman's voice, that said, "Come along, child." And then they moved off. We can't explain that. I got to take the lady's word for it of what she said that she experienced around 5 o'clock in the morning when it's dark outside, and what the image and stuff and what she heard as far as voices.
Right.
But with that question, as far as equipment, go light first, get to know the area, see what you encounter, and grow from there.
Do your
look at what
recon.
other people use. Take notes when you're out there and stuff, so you don't forget things if you do have something weird happen or see things to catch your attention. Then look what other people use. Again, you don't need to get anything expensive. Start cheap, learn the equipment and what you got and stuff. And if you want to get better equipment as time goes, that's fine. But if you don't, then you're not wasting a lot of money out there buying something expensive that you may only get out once a year.
Exactly. Start with your personal safety, though, because you are the best piece of investigative equipment that any investigation can have.
That's first and foremost safety. Yeah. Safety. You got to think safety.
Yep. Definitely.
Especially if you're going off the beaten path where people don't normally go like we do.
Yep.
You're not going to encounter people out there unless you're walking along a gravel road or a major trail that you use, which ain't very many of them out there. We get to increase what we hope to encounter, we get off the beaten path. We go deep. We get off the beaten path, and we make our own way. In my mind, I think that will increase something happening, Bigfoot, whatever, maybe more paranormal stuff. Uh, you never know. To me,
Right.
off the beaten path is. I mean, now don't get me wrong. If I hear something like you talk about TV shows, one thing that always got me was I thought was hilarious. They're out there at nighttime, dark all around them. They hear something off in the dark. They grab a flashlight and they go chasing after. What are they going after? Even if they think it might be Bigfoot, what are they going to do if they get there and stand there looking at you eye to eye 3 foot away from you? Or what if it's a bear?
And odds are it's not going to be a cryptid that you're encountering. I mean, we all know that when you're dealing with noises and stuff in the dark, that your exaggeration is because of your imagination of what could be causing the noise. So running off after something in the dark is just completely absurd, to tell you the truth. Not that it doesn't happen. What kills me though is a lot of these investigators that go and they do these investigations and they scream and they run the other way. What are you there for then if you're going to scream and run away from it?
Exactly.
What's the purpose of you investigating something if you're going to scream like a little girl and run away? And that's just my opinion. Okay,
it's fun to watch, though. It's fun to watch.
There is a lot of investigators that do that, especially in the paranormal. And it's incredible to me that they would scream and run away.
But again, I agree 100% on that. But there is going to be maybe that one situation, not away from the TV shows, okay? Like Drew, Camp Out Before Last, when he's seen these two entities over in the field, and the closest one's about maybe 40 yards from him, was stalking him a little bit. His whistle didn't make it go anywhere, and all you could see was the image and the eye glow from his flashlight. Now he took off running. He's a city boy. He ran back to base camp. So, I mean, it terrified him. I mean, I physically had to help him pick his tent up. He normally set his tent up about maybe 50 to 100 yards outside of camp. He just liked the privacy. He's done that for years.
Right.
But this night, something happened to him. The same night we seen the light, not too far from where he had his entity. I seen these two entities. Could have been big cats. We don't have big cats here, apparently, if anybody tell you. But it terrified him so much that I had to help him move his tent from outside of base camp to almost in the middle of base camp for the next 3 nights we were there. So in a situation like that.
And that's understandable. Yeah, that's understandable. Something like that happens. I mean, that's understandable. But I'm talking that, a lot of the stuff that we see on these big name investigations on TV and stuff. And we all know the channels. There's Discovery Channel, there's Travel Channel, there's, heck, even Netflix is doing it now.
Yeah.
Now and several others that are doing these types of shows. That if you're going to investigate something, you've got to expect the unexpected. You've got to be prepared for the worst. Expect the best and hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst to happen. And a lot of people don't understand that when you go into an investigation, there's going to be other things that you're going to encounter while trying to investigate something else. Okay.
Yep.
It's like I've always said, everything is connected in this world. Everything is literally connected. And the main connecting thing together is the supernatural. Okay. Plain and simple. Okay. Now, determining to separate your flesh and blood encounters from the supernatural encounters is a whole nother animal. You have to discern the difference. Okay. You have to be able to recognize the differences. Okay, that's why before you go out on any investigations, you need to make sure that you are educated enough and thorough enough that you're going to be able to interpret every encounter that you have. Okay, and if you can't, then you're not ready to go out. That's just my opinion. I mean, that's it's the truth.
Just become somewhat familiar with it at the minimum, because like the old cliche is, you can't learn to swim unless you jump in the water. Okay,
exactly.
Just be familiar with what's out there, what the possibilities are. You don't have to become dive deep into the books and understand behaviors and eating patterns and all that other stuff. Just know what's out there and what their behaviors are, and you can keep that at a minimum. The rest of it will come as you go.
Yep.
But don't be afraid to go. I find it fun. I find it fascinating to get out there and not knowing what you're going to encounter from time to time.
The best Olympic swimmers in the world started out doggy paddling. Yes. I mean, that's literally the truth of it. Okay. And when you're going out there, you may not know everything. Okay. But this is a continual education. Okay. Every time you go out, there's going to be something new occur, something new that you're going to experience. Okay. And it's just going to be a continued effort to grow and to educate yourself over time doing these investigations. And I just think that a lot of people just think they're going to go out one time and they're going to solve it, and it's just not the case.
Yeah. One of the things that people, they watch so many paranormal shows, they watch so many wildlife shows and stuff, and they think that's how it's going to be when they go out in the woods or when they go to a haunted house or anything like that. And that's not how it is. TV is TV. It's completely different from real life. Yeah. You have to go in, like you've been saying, you have to go in expecting something to happen, but always plan for the worst in case that does happen, and have a backup plan to help you get out of that situation if you need to. That's very important. Case in point, that episode with ghost hunters. Remember the episode several years ago when the one guy, he gets scared to death, one of the investigators, and he says, "Run, dude, run." Don't be that dude. That's not you don't want to do that.
Oh, side note,
as soon as you run, as soon as you run, you're the prey as soon as you run.
Yes.
Side note real quick. It looked like something moved Melissa's hair again the other night for the second time.
Yeah.
And then a few seconds after that, our in-house camera glazed over a little bit.
It like
flickered. I mean, it's weird how that came about. Again, I gave her that dumb look I do, like something touched my hair again, until I looked at the camera and you could see a slight shift. It was a class. I looked down there.
It's just
like,
very, very minor. You can just barely notice.
If it was something, if it was something evil or wicked, it would have drug you by your ponytail.
I don't feel that.
It would have pulled your hair.
There's definitely something here.
Yeah, it's not nothing nefarious by any ways and means. It's probably, from what I'm gathering and what I'm feeling and sensing, it's definitely a relative. So
yeah, I think so too.
And
I think it might be my grandmother.
I was going to say it's one that played with your hair a lot when you were a child.
Yep, because the other night when it happened, it just felt like a gentle hand went down over my hair. I could just feel it. It wasn't like the last time where we've got it on our YouTube channels, where something actually felt like something tussled my hair. This time it was just like gentle. It was very gentle, but it was enough for me to notice. I got goosebumps. I got chilled. And I actually turned around when I realized David again wasn't paying any attention. I asked, I said, "If that was you that just touched my hair, can you do it again?" And about 10 to 12 seconds later, you'll hear me say some words and you'll see me move because it did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people get to have all the fun.
Oh, just like when we were out there
Yeah,
in the
that or
woods
they're
around
just
the
a total
campsite
rest.
that night. But
Yeah, Juno. Good to see Juno in the chat.
Yeah. Had to make some more coffee.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I'm down to my dredges here. I got like 1 cup left. Before we go, I want to say thank you to you guys for coming on and talking about some of the equipment. But remember that this isn't criticism from us, guys. This is
No.
just to help you develop. This is just to because I'm not going to be here forever. Okay. And I want to be able to help you all develop and be able to process things. And the only way I can do that is by using this channel to do that. So that being said, we need to, there's so much going on in this world that we need to continue to investigate and question. There really is. And, it's like I've always said, we need to be able to discern the difference between flesh and blood encounters and supernatural encounters. And the way I group it is I would even group like the interdimensional encounters that people talk about are more in line with the supernatural. More of that mystique about them. Okay. That realm of mystery to where they come from and how they get here and all that. Whereas you're dealing with the flesh and blood Bigfoot encounters and the dogman encounters and, whatever else, people have encountered out there, which is quite a bit actually. There is a lot to be said about legends. So take that into consideration. Take the fact that you have native people out there that have been talking about these things for thousands of years. And just all of a sudden, now people want to start listening. Also take into consideration that when you're dealing with native legends are based on fact. Okay. At some percentage, they are based on fact. At some point in time, it may be used to influence the ways of a child from doing things you don't want them to do. We all know those horror stories that our parents used to tell us and our grandparents used to tell us. But for the most part, those legends are based off of fact. Okay. Actual encounters, actual history. Okay. And as soon as we don't listen to our elders and we don't listen to our wise ones, our medicine people. And I'm sorry, I'm talking about North America. I'm not talking about South America. Okay. South America is a whole different concept. Okay. As far as the medicine path. But we need to remember that we are the investigation equipment. Okay. We are our bodies, our energy around us is what makes us an investigative tool. Okay. Our senses, the way we sense things, and you can heighten your senses too. I mean, there's ways to teach yourself how to do that. Okay. But that's why I always tell everybody, you have the right to question everything, literally. And when you do that and you start realizing, well, hey, one thing that I always do on any investigation is I look for the pattern. I look for the hidden patterns. I look for, when I talk about conspiracy theories, okay, and the simulation and the matrix and all this other stuff, I look for the hidden patterns. Okay. I look for things that happen repetitively. You guys call them angelic numbers. Okay. I look for colors, certain colors. Predominant color in society as a whole, across the whole world currently, is red and blue. Okay. Think about it. You have the Hopi prophecy of the red and blue conchina coming, and the red being the cleansing. Okay. You've got two political parties that are red and blue. Okay. Heck, you got toothpaste out there that's red and blue, folks. You know, I mean, there's certain things that, you know, that are connected to this world that it's like something in the vast recesses of whatever world we're living in is constantly trying to leak information to us. Okay, trying to get us to understand that there is more to this world than what we physically see and what we physically hear. Okay, and as soon as we realize that and we come to grips with that personally, the more encounters you're going to have, plain and simple. Okay, and that's just that's a biggie with Native people. That's why we are so dead set on the supernatural and the spirit world, and how everything is alive and everything is connected. That's how and why we walk that path, plain and simple. Okay. So, but that being said, I want to thank David and Melissa for being here. I know you guys probably got things to do today. Melissa's probably going to get her hair tugged on a couple more times. But you know, I've just been I've been to the point lately that there's a lot more to this life, even if you can call it life, on any scale that is unimaginable. You just, you know, there's no way that a human being can have enough imagination to understand what's going on. Okay. And that's the truth. Okay. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but as long as and I've said this on social media too, as long as there's air in my lungs and breath in my lungs, and I'm strong enough to say it, I'm going to try and educate. And because there's so much more than just cryptids, there's so much more than just ghosts, there's so much more than just aliens. You know, there's so much more to this life, this world, that we don't see, and that humanity has lost its way into understanding and dealing with these things and how to encounter these things. You know, that's why I say question everything. Literally.
Yep, you got to get out of the concrete jungle and get out there and experience it. You can stay in cities and four walls around you, and lights to turn off and on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But get out there. If you haven't done it before, get out there and camp in an area, nobody around, and do it during daytime, let nighttime come, and you could just feel the atmosphere shift when that transition of nightfall comes. The darkness and the shadows start to appear, and you could just feel the energy of what's going on around you from day to night.
Completely
and
different.
then be awake in the morning when the sun starts to come up, and then you can feel that shift again, because there's things that come out after dark that's not out in the daytime, and vice versa. I mean, to me, I find it fascinating. I mean, to me, that's life, that's living. You know, just being out there, and then
take for instance this too, though, David. Everybody's talking about that 3-eye atlas, okay, and how it's gonna, you know, it's gonna possibly hit Earth, or it's gonna hit the moon, or it's gonna hit the sun, and this, that, and the other thing. First off, here's a picture of what they're saying. Okay, this is why I say what I say. Okay, this is why I know everything is connected to the supernatural. It's not what it appears to be. Okay, I'm sorry, but you know, everything that is told to us by the so-called educated class, and the ones in control, like NASA and the Smithsonian and all that, I'm sorry, I hate to say it this way, but it's a crock of shit. It really is. Okay? You're dealing with the supernatural. Okay? You're dealing with everything that is connected in this world, in this realm, in this dimension we live in, is connected via the supernatural. Okay? That's not making the statement that everything is supernatural. Okay? It's making the statement that literally the conduit that connects everything together in this web of life is supernatural. So with that aspect, we need to question everything, plain and simple, because if we don't, you know, we're really undercutting ourselves on trying to find out the truth. So, but that's my conversation for the day. And like I said, I appreciate Melissa and David coming on. I look forward to getting with them sometime this coming spring and summer to get out there and investigate with them. And or it could even be in the winter, actually, as far as I'm concerned.
But, I can't function in the cold anymore. You know, it gets too cold. My body just don't want to move.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best time to do it, though, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, true. But if you can't move, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have to go anywhere, though, David. Sometimes you just need, sometimes you just need to sit around that campfire and you know, and just relax and let them come to you.
Well, they will.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for being here. David and Melissa, I want to thank you. And I'll talk to you all later, okay?
All right. Yeah, we'll see y'all later. Y'all take care.
Anyways, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a conversation to have about some of the, you know, the stuff that we go through, and that boots on the ground goes through, and that researchers go through. And I hope it helps. Okay. Like I said, question everything. You have that right. Not everything is as it seems. The whole world's a stage. And we're just merely pawns and extras in the act. So take care, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Supernatural Sunday morning coffee talk. Your own encounters. I want to hear them. Okay? I want to hear your supernatural encounters, your paranormal encounters tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Take care, everybody. God bless.
Through the mist we rise, a force unbroken, with banners high and hearts awoken. The sound of pipes, our war is calling. Like thunderous waves, our duty is falling. Stand tall, together we fight, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. With battle cries we forge our fate, in fields of valor we elevate. As shadows loom, our spirits flee. Brothers in arms, we are the dream. Fearless, we take the night, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions justify our death. You